from the Galilee. A little bit late today. Sorry about that. Getting ready. Today is the 26th of June, Wednesday, 10:18 in the morning, and we're in for a hot day. Sadly, not that bad, but please pray it doesn't get that hot. It gets a little cooler. 94 high, it's 86 already. Tomorrow's 97 and 96 and 94, and then Sunday we get a drop. Not much. Yeah, we're in the soup here. That's what you get when you live in the curse. The reason for the judgments of the Lord is to stop people from going against Jehovah and his law, and that brings punishment on the country. So if you don't do the judgments, of course Israel encourages people to break the law. You get the government of Israel, you get the curses on you. He's not going to destroy Israel, but a lot of people aren't going to make it. Okay, what we're going to cover today is a very big theme in the Bible, Genesis to Revelation. They shall know my name is Jehovah. And that's really a big theme, or a very important thing. There's many other things happening at the same time, but that is a big one. In Jerusalem all that call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. They don't know the name of the Lord. How's that work? You see? Jehovah does want to save the non-Israelites and the Israelites, okay? But Satan has blotted out his name for these 2,000 years of punishment, found in Hosea 6:1 and 2. And then I'll develop all this with you and show it to you, and we'll go through the scriptures about this, how important this is, and also we'll go through the intel, what's going on with Saudi Arabia, Russia, Ukraine, China, Korea, the whole thing. Okay? All right. What I'm going to do now is jump into the chat and put my posts up, make sure we got sound and picture. I got to delay a little bit to make sure they got it posted. All right. We got sound and picture. I'm going to do a couple of quick posts up in the chat. We may not have that many people coming in today because people are more interested in intel than they are the Bible, Even though they'll tell you they're Bible readers, they're really looking for intel. Okay, I'm going to be posting for a moment or two. Not long. Almost there, guys. Just hang on, it'll be worth it. I've never seen Bible studies like this anywhere on the internet. Not to say it's never been done, but I've never seen it on the internet. Okay, well, being in Israel, it's 10:22 in the morning. I slept well last night, if that's what you're asking. But it's morning time. So, the war in Lebanon. What's going on now is The attacks from Lebanon are down by 80–90%. And the reason they're down is because the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon are afraid to stick their head out. We got so much military and military resources up at the border of Lebanon, they're really scared. And that's nice. The people in Israel, the tension has built up very, very high right now. And they're not, they're very tense. People are very, very stressed. Okay. Now, the recent developments are the aircraft carrier Eisenhower that left the Red Sea into the Mediterranean actually wound up in Greece. The reason for this is Turkey is threatening Cyprus, and he could threaten Greece. He's ready to wipe out Greece anyway. He's saying he'll join with Lebanon and attack Cyprus. Well, that's one of the dumbest things I ever heard. He's still in NATO. Cyprus is in the EU. The EU says they'll retaliate against anybody that strikes an EU nation. And this mental midget, who's at this point criminally insane for sure, Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, is threatening to do that. Plus shoot anti-ship missiles or other missiles into ships passing in the Mediterranean close to Lebanon. And a few hours ago, the Houthis in Yemen hit a MSC merchant marine vessel in the Arabian Sea, I believe it was, which is under Saudi Arabia. So they are definitely expanding their attacks. And the nations are gotta stop this, okay? And the nations by now all understand that the Houthis are just an instrument or a puppet of Iran. Okay? They got to understand it. See, Iran doesn't want people attacking them. So what they do is they run around using their satellites. And they have the satellites do the attack, and then the satellites get counterattacked, and they don't care. So they keep staying around to play again another day. I would say America, UK, and other countries have come to the realization that the only way they're going to stop this nonsense is to shut down Iran. And, Bible prophecy, as I've been covering many times in last week, illustrates this rather clearly. I believe it's Jeremiah 49. And America will do it, and Iran, it doesn't say Iran, it says Elam, E-L-A-M. Elam is composed of southwestern Iran, parts of what we call southwestern Iran today, parts of Iraq and parts of Syria. Sound familiar? The Iraqi militias again came out with a warning. I just put it on my Telegram a few minutes ago that they have every intention of attacking the American military bases in Iraq if Israel invades Lebanon. Now, if they do it in Iraq, they're going to also, the same militias in Syria are going to attack the American bases in Syria and likely the consulate embassies in Iraq. Now, Syria wants the Americans out and Iraq wants the Americans out, but America's still there. They're America in their minds. They were America, but they think they still are America, the great voice, the hammer of the whole earth. And they got to knock out Iran. Okay, one of the big senators in America the other day said that, they intend to hold Iran responsible for whatever happens between Lebanon and Israel. And this is a blatant statement that they completely understand that Iran is behind all this. They completely know it, and they're going to act on it. So Iran will get hit. The Bible prophecy says, destroyed by her enemies. Iran's loaded with enemies. And they all go into exile into all the nations around the world. And so the place is going to get destroyed, probably by airstrikes. I'll be right back. We got to deal with where the aircraft carriers are and what they're up to. I'll be right back. What I want to do is look up the distance from, let's say, Beirut, Lebanon, to Greece. And get a logistics idea here. It'll take a minute. Erdogan of Turkey is pretty much in enemy mode for a long time with Greece. So they're rather worried about this. So from Greece to Beirut, Lebanon is out of missile range, 830 miles. So it's probably, it might be close enough to protect, if it's by Athens or something, to protect Cyprus by firing anti-missile missiles. But it's an aircraft carrier, so it might have destroyers and missile cruisers with it that would do it. Planes. Now, Beirut can't hit Greece. They could hit Cyprus. No, it's not near Cyprus. Sorry, it's not close to Cyprus. No. They got it there. I don't know why exactly. The possibilities are that they could, even though they're sort of far away from, Yafa go. While they're sort of far away from Beirut, they could launch planes. At supersonic, a plane would take about 35-40 minutes to hit Beirut, but it'd have no gas. They'd have to refuel it. I guess that's what they're up to. But they could also deploy in 12 hours they could cover 300 miles and get very close. So it won't take them much, They America's afraid of the aircraft carriers getting hit again with anti-ship missiles coming out of Lebanon, which they have from Iran. I'm sure they have the same ones that the Houthis are using in Yemen. Go away, Yafa! No! So that is that. Now, the Roosevelt's coming from Asia, aircraft carrier Roosevelt, and that is likely going to mean, here you are, that is likely going to mean next week it'll be in theater. The Gerald Ford is also supposed to be here, but I don't have any details on that. America doesn't openly talk too much about what their aircraft carriers are up to. We'll pick it up though. And the Roosevelt was supposed to go in the Red Sea. Now, I don't know if that's really what's going to happen. That's what I'm picking up on the internet. I'm not so sure it will, because they don't want to see the ship get hit with missiles. I don't blame them. So, we don't know if anything's going to be off the coast of Lebanon yet. America does not need ships to attack Lebanon, but I'm most certain they'll use them. They have plenty of aircraft in the region that can be flying ops over Lebanon. And you don't need that many planes. Seriously speaking, with 25 planes, bombing mission, return, rearm, refuel, bombing mission, return, they can cause tremendous damage in Lebanon, but I think their goal would be overwhelming damage to Hezbollah down by the border of Israel. So they might want to use 150 planes. It's hard to really understand what they're up to. Like, why do they put up with Turkey, who's absolutely an idiot operator? Because, first of all, Turkey's a liar. He says he's boycotting Israel with trade, and he's not. The other day, a ship came in from Turkey. They cut their transponders off, and they came in. So, don't think that that Turkey always tells the truth. Turkey controls the Bosphorus Straits, which is critical because that lets Russia go from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and vice versa. And a war with Europe and NATO, they need that. And NATO and America need that to block Russia and keep them trapped in the Black Sea. Erdogan's not happy with America because he asked to buy a lot of F-35 stealth jets and they didn't give it to him. Probably because they didn't know who the heck he was going to try to conquer. Cyprus and Greece would be right on the top of his list. Plus, attacking northeastern Syria and killing the Kurds in northern Syria too. So he basically could be lying and making himself look like he's a bad guy, like they had Obama try to make the world think he was a Muslim. Or he's just off his rocker somewhat, you know. Modi's the head of India. He's going to Moscow in the near future to meet with Putin. I don't know what this is about. You see, Putin went to Vietnam, made a deal with them. Putin went, defense and trade, you know, went to North Korea, went to China. Now, he's not going to India, Modi's going to him. This type of nonsense of who comes to see who with protocol is very important to Putin. It is. Netanyahu always has to go to Moscow to see Putin. He never comes to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. He could be afraid. That could be a reason there. And he might be afraid with India. I don't know what they're going to talk about, but it doesn't sound like it's going to bring peace. The discussions America's been having with the head of Hezbollah and Nasrallah going through third parties have been leaking out. And the way they're getting played out, and I put this on Telegram, my Telegram, is that Hezbollah was told by Hochstein and I think others that they can't stop Israel from a full-scale war against Lebanon unless you stop all the missile and rocket attacks. Now, Nasrallah didn't even say, well, you know, let's talk about cutting Gaza down and then we could cut down, or so. He didn't even say that. What he said to the Americans was, you don't know our capabilities. Well, guys, they don't have an Air Force, they don't have a Navy, they don't have armor. What capabilities are we talking about? Missiles only? See, engaging another country in war where you're next door and you have massive amounts of missiles can be somewhat effective in damaging the other country. Okay? And that doesn't apply to NATO and America and the UK and France and Germany and others that will likely turn against Lebanon and Iran. It doesn't make any sense. So again, these people are like the criminally insane. They belong in prisons for the criminally insane. That's like half prison, half psychiatric hospital. They're out of their tree. Okay? And that was probably one of the wrongest answers, and he's threatening, or the coalition of Iran is threatening America again. So the head of the Iraqi militia, or one of the psychotics over there that are backed by Iran, said that if Israel invades Lebanon, we will attack the American bases in Iraq. Now, And they've done that a lot already since October 7th, like about 100 times, plus the consulate embassy, whichever one it is in Iraq. Now, the Iraqi government wants America out, and they never seem to leave. The Syrian government wants America out of Syria, and they never leave. So, what's going on? Well, they want to put pressure on America, okay, to force Israel to not attack Lebanon. So they're looking at easy picking military bases that America has that are close to them so they could attack these bases. Now, they also were talking about sending soldiers to Lebanon to help Israel, to help Hezbollah with the war against Israel. A lot of these countries are saying, even Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, militias in Syria, I think the Houthis also, and others, I believe, have said they too will send soldiers into Lebanon to help Hezbollah if Israel invades. Now, none have done it. Why? Well, the precise route to go in is through Syria. And they have to approach by Lebanon, and Israel or America or whoever will just bomb them in Syria. That's the end of that. If they do get into Lebanon, because Netanyahu's a real jackass, and he might let them in, out of stupidity or out of other ulterior motives, it's hard to say. The beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord, and Netanyahu lacks all fear of the Lord, so he's not wise. He has knowledge of evil, but he's not, a real bright guy at all. So, and I use the word guy loosely. So, what you got I think is this. I think they see America as continually doing nothing. All these military bases in Iraq and Syria that have been hit about 100 times in the last 8 months, America's done little or no retaliation, very little. And this drives them on. They think, America's too afraid to attack us. Let's assume for a minute that America have been playing low-key to suck them into the trap. America wants Iran. Okay? If Iran runs rampant, it's a bad thing for America. Lebanon is already in the web of evil with Iran as in Gaza, as is Syria, because they got Iranian military all over the place in Syria, as is Iraq, as is Yemen. Now, they don't have the larger oil exporting countries, namely, now they got Bahrain coming in. Bahrain just went to visit in Tehran and restore relations. So they got Bahrain. And Kuwait, no. Qatar, no, but that could flip. That's probably close to changing. UAE, no, but that's probably close to changing. Saudi Arabia's probably got one foot in the door with them. Oman, I'm unsure of. Jordan, no. Turkey doesn't have oil, and Egypt doesn't see Iran as somebody they want to sit underneath. So they just take over these countries out of fear, and if someone stands up to them, they'll bomb them or missile attack their oil refineries or whatever they want to do to them, because none of these countries can hold up against Iran, and they're too stupid lack of a better word, and too involved with stupid lies and everything else, to form any type of a unity organization and go destroy Iran. Iran is really weak. Okay, Iran doesn't have a navy to speak of, they don't have any air force to speak of. They got missiles. They don't have good air defenses. They're idiots. Why is China and Iran with them? Well, they produce good weapons. Russia wants drones from them, other weapons. And the idea is to back Iran. North Korea backs Iran, China, and Russia. And have Iran knock these countries off and pull them into their web, the anti-American web, and freeze America out of the Middle East, which would destroy America and Europe and Central South America and other places very badly, forcing those countries to come under the submission of China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. The getting into BRICS is a very big problem for America. On a 10 scale, 10 being the biggest, it's probably an 8.5. Okay, an invasion of America is a 9. Okay, it's extremely bad. Malaysia and Thailand just said they are on the list to join BRICS when they bring the new people in a few months. There's no prophetic time for that, but America doesn't know that. Now, Malaysia is, I think, Malaysia is maybe, well, I know Malaysia and Thailand together have over $1 trillion of, economy. They're very big. And Vietnam just came over to Russia too when Putin went there, so that'll be thrown in the mix too. This is the key. Now they're going to go into BRICS and they're going to conduct business off the US dollar. Okay? Saudi Arabia is already selling oil, but you cannot buy their oil with US dollars or euros. So Saudi Arabia has already told America to go take a walk, a long walk on a short pier. Go fly a kite, get lost, I don't care about you. Undoubtedly because America is not a loyal ally and they don't trust America. And they're scared to death of losing their kingdom on earth with their gazillions of dollars, okay? These people are trillionaires. I think a trillionaire is 1,000 billion, and 1,000 billion, and a billion is 1,000 million. So they're rich enough to support countries, armies, Forget buying palaces, mansions, yachts, and jets. They can buy countries. Okay, which is ultimately what these idiots want, is their own country. Why? They exempt themselves from taxes. They exempt themselves from the law so they can go in the street and murder people and nothing happens to them, right? They travel as diplomats, they take their yacht and they buy a 400 or 500 foot yacht and they flag it as a military vessel of their navy so they could travel around with all kinds of weapons as a military. And they're not going to be stopped and boarded or searched or anything like that. And they could also flag it as a diplomatic vehicle because the people on it have diplomatic passports, they're diplomats. So they like all this, the way they live. And, it's something they don't want to give up. Okay. The Malacca Straits or the Majorca Straits off of Malaysia. This is something like the Red Sea pincher point over in Asia, and at its narrowest point, which is by Malaysia, it's 2.8 kilometers, which is roughly 1.5 miles. So they can't make the straits close. They can close the straits with artillery, with mortars even, although that's unlikely, and missiles. China goes through the straits. Much, if not most, of their oil passes through these straits. So if America could control these Majorca straits, China would choke without being able to bring oil in. So China needs Malaysia in their camp, so they got Malaysia to agree to go into BRICS, along with Thailand, and you got Vietnam, I'm sure, joining BRICS too. They want to make sure, see, for America, shutting the Majorca Straits is a much better military exercise, which you could do with, I don't know, 3 or 4 destroyers and an aircraft carrier a couple hundred miles away to give it air support, to give the other ships air support. And you break the back of China. Without fuel, they can't, their industries are going to die. Also, China's industries, import aluminum, plastic, many things from other countries in the area and not in the area to keep their factories running, and that would interfere with them being transported into China. And now if China has control over these straits, they can block America from using them, can't they? Sure. Bring Malaysia into their court and just put a lot of missiles and tanks and stuff and on the coast near the straits. And if any American ships or countries they don't like decides to pass through, they just start launching anti-ship missiles at it until they get a hit. So they're creating an economic war against America to collapse America. America is attempting to create an economic war against China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia and collapse them. These efforts by both sides have not been what I would say very productive, so they're definitely going to resort to war. Now I understand the amount of Russian soldiers in and around Ukraine has creeped up from 800,000 to 990,000. America and NATO do intend to put troops into Ukraine with equipment. They have a large assemblage of troops. A few weeks ago it was 300,000 NATO had, and they might have it up to 400,000 or something like that, and they intend to, if need be, put a substantial amount of these troops inside Ukraine to thwart Russia from overrunning them. With this, type of force of about 1 million soldiers with equipment, Russia could overwhelm Ukraine and just keep going until they capture Kiev. They probably don't care very much about getting west of Kiev. They'll be happy with Kiev because that'll break the Ukraine government down. They don't have the capital anymore in the end. Then Russia's plan would be to fortify Ukraine as a buffer zone for Russia from, from Russia geography coming from the west of Russia. America is very scared about this. America cannot maintain its position in the world if other nations are going to side with the axis of evil. And that's the direction it is going quite clearly, and America is losing. We're not seeing and hearing nations, especially in Asia, leaving Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and so forth, to side with America. It's the opposite, because they don't trust America. That's the reality, And this is a deficiency of Biden. Plus, everybody knows that Biden can't be sitting there calling the shots. I mean, would America let that go on? You think Biden has the football, where he could control bombers, they say nuclear bombers, but he might get up in the morning and say that, gosh, we better bomb Ohio. They're turning against me. I might lose the election. We don't know what he'll. So they have created a figurehead. Well, they've resorted to using Biden as a figurehead. He's probably one short step out of the hospital. And, he's at Camp David, been there for a few days, and the story they're leaking is that he's over there to prepare for his debate tomorrow with Trump, I believe, on CNN. A live debate. Why does he have to go to Camp David to get into a debate, to discuss a debate? They do that in the Oval Office. They got him hidden there for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but they got him stashed away there, maybe for security. They might be worried about the Russian warships off the East Coast. And they just took a precaution because Camp David has bunkers, The Secret Service is pretty good. The last time something happened to a president was Ronald Reagan got wounded. The last time a president got killed, I think, was 1964 with JFK. I think it was 1963, something like that. That's over 50 years ago. I used to know some of them. I met some, they're okay, I would say they're completely brainwashed into believing into the American government and the Secret Service. They just, they think America is just the greatest thing in the world, and the Secret Service is just such a great organization, that kind of thing. When they have conversations with you, now this would apply to outsiders in law enforcement or government, as well as other people in the Secret Service, they tend to talk about nothing. What do I mean, nothing? Did you see what the Yankees did Saturday? Wow, did you see how that guy pitched? Oh, that kind of conversation is greatly encouraged. Basketball, any of that. They probably don't like soccer because it's not considered a real American sport. real American sports are, baseball, basketball, golf, tennis, hockey, football, of course. And you can talk about, fishing. You can talk about a new car, a new motorcycle. Um, you can talk about Disney World or Universal Studios or roller coasters. What else do they talk about? No, food. You could talk about food. Um, Workouts, running, gymnasiums, all that. Oh yeah, you can talk about that. You can talk about guns and bullets. Although you're kind of treading on no man's land, maybe you got to watch those conversations. Um, you can't talk about anything meaningful. That's for sure. That'll get you in trouble. The FBI's like that. Now the lower level, the Secret Service is a very high level law enforcement agency. They're not even real civil service, they're just part civil service. So if you work for them, you don't have any rights. And they're loaded with Satan bots, up to their nose. They're loaded up to you, okay? They don't do much. They enforce counterfeiting laws. Do you think the foreign countries don't counterfeit American country in the billions and billions of dollars? I think they do. They can't do anything about it. They could capture and destroy counterfeit money, but they can't stop these other countries. Also credit card fraud and bodyguard duties for the president, vice president, and then it also filters down to visiting dignitaries and others. Now, when you drop down to other federal law enforcement agencies like Homeland Security or Department of Agriculture Special Agents, Food and Drug Special Agents, DEA Special Agents, IRS Special Agents, Housing and Urban Development Special Agents, did I say Agriculture, Department of Agriculture Special, it's much less controlled. They could pretty much almost talk to you for real. They won't talk politics, but they won't talk politics to you, and they won't talk politics to each other. They won't talk it to their neighbors. They might not even talk it to their wives or children, or their husbands and children. So, but they're not under the scrutiny of the FBI. Oh, they're not under scrutiny like the FBI. CIA are more or less like that, but they're dealing with enemies of the United States all the time, so they're going to talk in different ways. I've met extremely few people from the CIA. The ones I ran into were out of the CIA. They impressed me as being nothing more than bureaucrats. This James Bond stuff is normally going to be done by the American military that they loan to the CIA. Although the CIA does have their own special forces kind of people too. That's not really their main focus on what they're about. They got Navy SEALs, Recon Marines, Green Berets, military to draw on, Delta forces. They're not you know, in the gung-ho James Bond business very much, you know. They have their own security people and things like that, but they're not really doing that kind of work. National Security Agency is really working in offices, you know, electronics and things like that, you know. The CIA has a tremendous amount of people that work in offices, reading newspapers, watching news broadcasts, watching social media, and studying a particular country or even a city in a country or some events, political instability and stuff like that. And they're building profiles on key people, and you know, they're spending tremendous amounts of time and energy on work like this. You know? Don't think they run around like James Bond. That's not what they do. What one guy told me, he was in the CIA for a number of years and left, is that if they get into a James Bond type car chase, you know, it means, and it also is interpreted by their supervisors, that they really screwed up bad. Really bad. That's not supposed to happen. And they hate it. The idea of being chased by people that want to kill you and will shoot at you and all that stuff is horrifying to them. We don't get any pleasure out of it. They hate it. So they don't. They don't put that in. Today, I suppose working in the State Department could be very dangerous because you're going to be sent overseas a lot. And when you knew, you could wind up in lousy places, like in a compound in Iraq or who knows where, you know. And then you're basically stuck living in a compound where, you know, it's acres, you know, you might have 50 acres or something like that, a good piece of land. And, you know, you'll have internet, basketball, volleyball, maybe handball, maybe tennis, gym, swimming, jacuzzis. They might maintain a little store on the base. This would be military there too, where you could buy things from America. You know, candies, cookie, cake, you know, various things that Americans are used to. But basically, that's not such a great life, stuck on the base. What good is that? You know, you can't go off the base, it's too dangerous. And you could get killed if they overrun the base. A lot of these embassy compounds are built like a military compound. They have underground bunker capability. They have an arsenal there for the Marines that protect it. And they have landing pads for helicopters to get around. So, you know, after a while you might wind up stationed in England or France or Germany or Italy. And they'll pay for your housing, You got an official U.S. you might not have a diplomatic passport, although you might. America gives them out like candy. So you might have a diplomatic passport, and a lot of times what they do is they carry their embassy ID cards, and if they get into a traffic stop or something, they show the ID. They're usually let go unless they're drunk and endanger somebody, even themselves. Most of the time, they're not going to carry a gun at all. They probably don't even have access to a gun in a nice country like France or the UK. And that's not such a bad life. They usually find housing for them extremely close to the embassy or consulate, and the building will usually be full of people that work for the embassy or consulate, their friends, and they hang around together. Alcohol is real popular. Most embassies and consulates have a small amount of FBI agents there, and they live and work with the State Department people. They're not there to investigate them or anything like that, so they get along. State Department has special agents that are mostly bodyguards, and they'll be there. They'll keep themselves distant and aloof from the regular employees. They're highly trained, quite competent. Very, very stressful work. Because they're going around chauffeuring and driving and escorting the diplomats, and they're in hostile land, and if an attack breaks out, the first thing they do is kill the bodyguards. And then they'll try to take the diplomat hostage. So it's a very stressful work. So anyway, when you look at the Mossad, now, that's another story. I've asked people from different intelligence agencies in different countries how good the CIA is, and the universal answer is they're quite good. I never heard anybody say they were a bunch of nincompoops. I never heard anybody say that about the Mossad either. You know. America is a melting pot, like Israel. People coming from different countries with different language skills, different appearances, culture. So they're positioned fantastically well to recruit agents that are going to blend in various countries. Where if you're dealing with a country like Japan, where we're almost all Japanese, they've got a big problem recruiting. So does China. You know, so would Thailand, but Thailand's probably not very interested in sending foreign agents around the world. What do they care about that for? Let me check the chat. We're in English here, we don't do Spanish. No español aquí. from Venezuela, huh? I think he said he likes my glasses, sunglasses. Thank you. Or it could be a she, rather. Sorry. My Spanish is rusty. The war with Lebanon is going to go down any day. Lebanon could do a preemptive strike against us. We could do one against them. It's, by definition, going to start with a preemptive strike. Okay? Israel has threatened them and told them we're going to hit you with, weapons that you've never seen, and they're not going to believe. And I believe it. So the Iranian ploy here is, the Iraqi and Syrian militias hit the American bases and the consulate embassy in Iraq, whichever it is. And Hamas is dead, they can't hit anything. I mean, they're alive and they're there and they're fighting Israeli soldiers, but they're finished, okay? And then Lebanon hits Israel and Cyprus and reaches out into Erdogan might get them to attack Greece with him too. Don't think not. And then reaches out into hitting ships in the Mediterranean Sea, and the Houthis keep hitting ships in the Mediterranean Sea. And Iran keeps doing nothing and saying nobody's going to attack us because our satellites are doing it. Wrong. Iran's going to be attacked and devastated. It's in the Bible, and it says America's going to do it. Plus the other enemies of Iran. I'll be back in a moment, and we're going to talk about the prophetic significance of Cyprus. No. I have gone through this in the Bible many times with people, but I'll give you a quick review for some of you that may not be aware of it. And don't take this the wrong way. I'm going to give you the cleanup on this with the timing of it. So don't get all excited about it, but it is interesting. Okay. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to give you the condensed version. Revelation 13, 1 and 2, the beast. John is standing, Apostle John, standing on the sand of the sea, by the beach. And he sees the beast come up out of the sea, with the claws like a bear and a lion and all that. That's describing the attributes of the beast. Not that he looks like a conglomeration of animals. I doubt that. Although the beast that is involved with the throne of the glory of God of Israel does have similar attributes to that. So we don't know for sure, but probably not, but it could be. I don't know. So, and after he comes up, we'll read that Satan gives him the dragon, which is Satan, gives him his power, his seat, and his authority. Satan still is the head of all the nations in the world, including the one I'm sitting in, Israel. So, Satan gives the beast his seat. Revelation 2, chapter 12, tells us that Satan's seat and where Satan dwells is in Pergamos. It's Pergamum in the more modern, lousy translations. In the good translations, Geneva 1599, which isn't so great, but 1611 King James and the 1880 King James, or 1882, whatever it is, say Pergamos. I believe it's Pergamos. Pergamos or Pergamum there's never been a place named like that in Israel, and there never will be. So it's not Israel. Now, this is a shocker to the church world, but it's right in your Bible. Satan's seat means his throne. It doesn't mean a toilet seat. It doesn't mean where he sits down to eat and watch TV or anything like that. It's his throne. That's what the seat is. Biden is a seated president. You got it? Throne. Got it? Okay. That's in Pergamos. Pergamos is in Cyprus. But east Cyprus by the coast. Because John's standing on the sea and he sees the beast come out. So John's basically by Pergamos in his vision, dream, okay? Whatever it was. So Pergamos is where Satan dwells. It says that in Revelation 2. Which of course means Satan was, by the time Revelation 2 was written, Satan was already thrown out of heaven with a third of the angels that went bad with him. So you can forget about all these church liars telling you, this is when the devil's going to get thrown out of heaven. It's happened 2,000 years ago at least. Okay. So Turkey owns North Cyprus, which curiously is where Pergamos is. And Turkey is a Muslim majority country, which is the people that Satan has used and decided to use to destroy Israel and stop Bible prophecy. Lebanon says, we're going to attack Cyprus, which is the other piece of the island where Satan lives. That's under the European Union, which is not, running against Israel like the Muslim people happen to be. Not every single Muslim, but much of the Muslim world is after Israel right now. It's substantial. It's not just a few thousand people. Okay. So Erdogan, with his Muslim majority country, who says he's a Muslim, he's a Satanbot, but he says he's a Muslim, says to Lebanon, I'll help you attack Cyprus. So what does that mean? Satan wants his whole island under his dominion with his chosen people once trying to kill Israel. The Muslims that are terrorists. So isn't that interesting? The timing for the beast and false prophet is down the road quite a bit, so I wouldn't worry about it right now. But quite a ways, decades. But Satan's trying to get ready. And that's where his seat is today. That's where he dwells today. And he'll be there 50, 60, 70 years from now. That's where he's going to be dwelling. His next stop will be in the pit for 1,000 years. But until then, that's where he is. Lebanon, Hezbollah is a Muslim fanatic country that hates the Jews in Israel, the Hezbollah. And Turkey has been threatening to raise a Muslim army of 5 million and wipe Israel out for years, repeatedly vocalizes these threats. And then he wants to help attack South Cyprus, let's call it. And it would be brought into the dominion of either Hezbollah or Turkey, probably Turkey. So he could help secure Satan's little island for him. So if Satan gives the beast his authority, his power, and his seat, said seat being in Pergamos, the church teaches the people, contrary to the scriptures, that the beast is going to be in the temple in Jerusalem, which is sheer idiocy. But the people in the church don't know enough, so they fall prey for it. I still see them posting videos, any day now we will fly, with their, their theology is God has replaced Israel with them. And before Israel gets redeemed, they'll be up in heaven. And then they'll come down from heaven like gods and reign over the Jews with a rod of iron. It's pretty stupid, but, the church world buys into it. Buys into it, man, I'll tell you. And it's scary, but they do. And they don't think that it's going to get them into trouble. They think they could run around preaching a false gospel and all this other stuff, and they're still going to heaven and doing all the bad things, and anyway. My name is Jehovah. Oh, we got some prayers. Let's take care of the prayers right now. GC Girl Charlie. GC Girl Charlie. GC. Pray for help from God with a financial problem. GC, pray he gets help from God with a financial problem. Okay. NM, Nancy Mike, toss salad on Nancy Mike. EM, Edward Mike. EM, Edward Mike, toss salad. MS, Mike Sam. MS, Mike Sam. Pray gets good work. Good job. MS, pray gets good work. Mike Sam. Okay. I got rid of this. I'm sorry. I stopped using the military call signs for the letters. It's just a pain in the neck. I just use more common sense, In the police departments in America, it's just crazy that, they have so many different call signs, Nancy, Ida, and the military doesn't do that. I think they do Normandy, ICE or something. B for barber, the military would be baker, it all varies, and then a lot of them have numerical call numbers as to like what the call is for, what the crime is for. So we used to have prisoners at the county jail I worked in as a deputy, and when we had a murderer, we had to deal with them differently. Of course, a murderer could get a death penalty, life in prison. They were considered dangerous, and they would be more dangerous than like a bank robber, somebody like that, because he's going to get 2, 3, 4 years. So he's going to be likely to not want to compound his problems and stay in jail 20 years. But someone arrested for murder is presumed not to have much to lose, so they'll do what they want. And this is a problem when you're dealing with a penitentiary in a state where there's no death penalty. Okay? So the guy's in for life without parole, let's say, right? Or he's in, for life and he can't be paroled for 30 years or so, The guy does what he wants, he doesn't care. The worst they could really do to him is put him in solitary and, that kind of thing. So we've got problems like that. Okay, my name is Jehovah. Now, Father God's name is not Yahweh. It has no meaning. All the names in Hebrew have meaning, the biblical names. Yahweh has no meaning. It's Jehovah. YHVH. That's the name, okay? Jehovah can never be his name because there's no J in Hebrew. Jesus could never be the name of the Messiah because there's no J in Hebrew. So it's Jehovah and Yeshua, which is from the root of salvation. HaMashiach, is Ha, and Mashiach is anointed. Jehovah HaMashiach. And Christ is the Greek coming from Christos in the Latin, which is coming from the Hebrew. Mashiach, it means anointed. So that's the reality of it. So my name is Jehovah. Now, you need to understand that this is a heavy theme as to what's going on in the world right now. How can they call on the name of the Lord in Jerusalem and get saved if they don't know his name? Now, you need to know that the rabbis, the Talmudic rabbis, teach the Jews that they're not allowed to speak the name of God, Jehovah, nor write it. So they are sort of blotting Jehovah's name out amongst his people in Israel, are they not? Of course they are. 2/3 will get cut off very shortly. That's Zechariah 13:8 and 9. This is one of the evil things they do. Okay, let's go through a few scriptures and look at this, okay? Isaiah 42:8. By the way, I do take questions if you want to put them in the chat. I do check the chat periodically. I am Jehovah, that is my name. So what it's saying in the Hebrew is Ani, which means I, Jehovah. Okay? That's just two words. I am it's just saying Ani Jehovah, I Jehovah. And then it says, hey, why do they translate it this way? They don't know Hebrew, these English translators, I tell you that. It really means he, like H-E. So it's saying he, Shem. I guess he would just say, it's my name. Yeah, I guess they don't know how well. They say that is my name. They don't know how else to put it. It gives you the meaning, but it doesn't have the literal translation. And my glory, well, it just says glory, kabod. And then they say, will I not? It doesn't say that. It just says the word lo, which means no. No, and then the word natan, place or set. So he's saying lo natan, low place. And then it says achar, some other entity or another. Neither my praise, I'll bet it doesn't say that. Teva, praise. Send praise to Pesil, an idol or an image. All right. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. Sing unto Jehovah a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. You that go down to the sea, and all that is there in the isles, and the inhabitants thereof. Okay, so let's go back. So he's saying, Ani Jehovah, hey Shem, that's my name, and my glory I won't give to an idol or an image. Okay. All right. So you can see he's building the importance of his name, who he is. See, he's educating the heathen, those of them that survive, who he is and what his power is, and they better not do what they did. Why? Because Israel's been put under a 2,000-year punishment. It's found in Hosea 6:1 and 2. It says 2 days. Now, Israel wasn't punished for killing the Messiah for 48 hours. It's 1,000 years is like a day, said Peter, or a day like 1,000 years. So it's a 2,000-year punishment. And guess what? Time's up. We're closing out the year of recompenses just about very shortly, a few more weeks at most, and that will take us to the day of vengeance, which is the beginning of the year of redemption, as I understand it. Okay. Now, countries that start wars against Israel in the year of recompenses are pretty stupid, but they don't know any better. Okay, we'll keep building this theme. Ezekiel 36:22. See, he wants the heathen to know his name because he wants the heathen to bring into his kingdom to get them saved. Okay, 36:22 of Ezekiel. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith Adonai Jehovah, I do not this for your sakes, O you house of Israel, 10 tribes, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, the goyim, whither you went. He's talking about in their diaspora. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen by the Israelites that got scattered into the nations. Okay, I will sanctify, okay, and that word is kadosh, make holy. I would translate it, it's, and I will, it's not in the text in Hebrew, it's kadosh, I don't think you really translate, and then I think it says Gadol. Yeah, so Kadosh Gadol Shem Chala, profane. So he's saying a holy, great name, profane. So you got to make it less choppy in English, because I'm giving you a literal transliteration, so you make it, more smooth. But you have to be very careful when you make it more smooth, or you're going to ruin the translation. And when you don't understand what the prophecy really is saying, you're going to make mistakes, and that's why the English translations are so screwed up. And it's intentional in most parts. You have profaned among the goyim, which you have profaned in the midst of them, And the heathen shall know, the goyim shall know that I, Jehovah, saith, saith Adonai Jehovah, when I shall be sanctified or holy to you before their eyes. And when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes, you see they're butchering here. They're butchering the translation. It says, when they write, when I shall be sanctified, it means holy. The word is kadosh. It means holy, and then they give you 2, 3, 4, 5 words for the word I. So it's saying holy I am. So you would probably say see holy, something like that. Okay? For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all lands, and will bring you into your own Admah, your own ground. It's not Eretz, the land. It's saying your own ground. Dirt, maybe you could say something like that. Okay, soil. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you. And the word for water is mine, which is the correct word. And the word for clean is ta'or, pure, clean. And you shall be clean from all your filthiness and from your idols will I cleanse you. So those that are running around worshiping idols now that are Israel will get raised up. A new heart also will I give you. That's Jeremiah 31, roughly, verse 31 to 33. A new heart will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. So this is the new everlasting life. And which happens when Yeshua appears and the believers look on him, and the occupants of Jerusalem look upon him, as well as the house of David, and that is in Zechariah 12:10, and combine that with John 6, verse 40, to get the full drift, and then add in 1 John 3, verse 2. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. And that means you got to punish the violators of the law. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God. I will also save I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. Well, where do we see stuff like that? Well, Zechariah 13, coincidentally, happens to come right after Zechariah 12. What a great Bible student he is.
And it shall come to pass that in that day, the same day, as Zechariah 12, saith Jehovah of armies, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets, the bad prophets, evil ones, and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. So no more demons in Israel. But going back to verse 1, in that day there will be a fountain opened. A fountain is water, right? It's not chocolate or roast beef, A fountain opened to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. Well, that the house of David and the people in Jerusalem are the ones he pours his spirit out on. Living waters shall flow out of your belly. It's, similar concept. So, just before the appearing of the sign of Son of Man in the clouds, like lightning from the east to the west, where he's seated on the right hand of power, which is God the Father, just before that he pours his spirit out on them. And they become saved. Then they see the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds, and they receive everlasting life. John 6:40. If you want to know the scripture for that. Of course, the church doesn't teach anything like this. So you could decide to listen to your Bible or go listen to your pastor break the Bible. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. So if he's raising them up at the last day, they all go up at the same time. How do we see that? John 6:39, the previous verse. And this is the Father's will which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. So everybody that God the Father gave to Yeshua, you can't come to him unless God draws you, gets raised up at the last day. So according to Yeshua and Jehovah, because this is his will, there is no left behind rapture. So the pre-trib, the mid-trib, and the post-trib are all wrong. The rapture happens at the last day, which means there's no more days. So that's after the 1,000 years. Satan's released, gathers the nations like the sand of the sea to attack Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem. God the Father burns the whole universe up. There's no place to stand. Thus we meet them in the air and go up on the clouds of heaven to be in heaven with Father God Jehovah and Yeshua for trillions of years. There's no counting how long we'll be there. It has no time limit. Okay? It just for all time, but there really won't be any more time, so it reverts to like forever and ever 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 and ever. Okay. You got the idea, right? Alright, back to my notes. Jeremiah 16:21. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know my hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Jehovah. It's the whole world is going to know this, Israel and the nations. We know it. He's not going to go take his hand and hit you upside the head as a believer walking right with him. Why would he ever do that? He loves you. He chastens those he loves, but if you don't need the chastening, he's never going to do anything like that to you. But his enemies that want to destroy Israel because he wants to raise it up to be the head of the nations and loves Satan and wants Satan to be the God of this world, not him, well, doom and gloom on them. Ezekiel 20, verse 44. Hezekiah, Ezekiel. Response 20, that's Yiddish. Ezekiel 20, verse 44. And you shall know that I am Jehovah when I have wrought with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O you house of Israel, saith the Lord. See, he performs the second Exodus and redeeming Israel for his name's sake. And that's what letting everybody know he is Jehovah. Ani Yehovah. You know, that's not me, but that's what he's saying. So they fear him. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Without wisdom, you'll be swimming the backstroke in the lake of fire. He wants all people to get saved, but some of these people, it's impossible. They're bitter figs. You got to spit them out. Okay. Ezekiel, so we did that. Malachi 1:11. For from the rising of the sun, and that's the correct word for sun, Shemesh, even unto the going down of the same, I guess the sun, so sunrise, sunset, my name, and that's the word Shem, name, shall be great, that's Gadol, great, big, you know, among the heathen, and in every place, let's see what the word every is, call, it's not every, it's all, not the laundry detergent, all means all, everything, you know, and in all, the word for place, Macomb, we'll go with place. Incense shall be offered unto my name. No more offering incense to Buddha and rubbing his belly. Who's Buddha? Pretty soon, who's Buddha? What's Buddha? Unto my name, and a pure offering for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith Jehovah of armies. Okay. Jeremiah 16:19. Jeremiah 16:19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. What does that word really mean? It can mean a lot of things. Distress, tribulation. Day of affliction, the heathen, the goyim, shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself? And if they are no gods, or we would say not gods, and they are not gods, therefore, behold, I will this once, so this is going to be something different than everything else. I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know my hand and my might, and they shall know that my name Jehovah. See, we're going to develop this very quickly in another few seconds. That's what's going to happen with the nations in Israel. They're going to know who Jehovah is, their God. And in some sad cases, quite a few, they're going to know who is the one they've been persecuting. You know, like Paul walking on the road towards an Emmaus or something. Yeshua appears, why persecutest thou me? Paul says, who art thou? He says, Yeshua. That stuff can be pretty frightening to the ungodly. Isaiah 2, verse 2. Isaiah 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established. Now the word for established is kum. And I don't think it's translated entirely correctly. Be erected or stand. Well, the next temple comes down from heaven, so it makes sense. Be erected or stand. And it shall come to pass in the last days. Okay, the word for last is achrat. Yeah, we would say end, maybe, you know. And the word for days is correct, Yomim, I guess. So the last days, that the mountain of Jehovah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all heathen shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come you and let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah, to the house of Elohim of Yaakov, the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. See, the church thinks the word of the Lord is going to go from the nations to Jerusalem. They get it all backwards, you know. And he shall judge among the heathen, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So when we have the temple shortly after that, probably after the Zechariah 12:10 destruction of the heathen by getting burned up by the two witnesses, we are going to go into a new time where they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Now, when the Gog and Magog rolls around, that reverses, and they beat their plowshares into swords, and
Okay. And many people shall go and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah, to the house of Elohim Yaakov, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law. That's the same law that the church says is dead and done away with, by the way. And the word of Jehovah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not, or it's really saying Goyim shall not lift up a sword against Goyim, neither shall they learn war anymore. Now, this is a big one and it's a heavy one, okay? Micah 5:15. Micah 5:15. Thou shalt sow, whoops, that's 6, sorry, go back one. 5:15, where'd you go? And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the Goyim, not Israel, the Goyim, the heathen, such as they have not heard. So it's going to be such a vengeance. The day of vengeance, of course, is what I'm talking about. And anger and fury, such as they have not heard. Now, what does that mean? It means that it's never been done before, at least on earth, and they don't know from it. We know in Jeremiah 30, verse 11, it says, he will destroy, this is with the birth pangs and the birth of a nation in a day. He will destroy all the Goyim, all the nations, the heathen nations, where he dispersed the Israelites into. Now, you can't disperse an individual, the Israelites into a heathen person. It has to be a nation, but because it says Goyim, it means the heathen nation. And I reckon there's at least 100 or 125 nations today that the Israelites have been dispersed into over time, and they're going to be destroyed. And it's not going to come from all these wars. It's going to come from him burning the nations and destroying them. He could use the whirlwind, he could use fire, he could use earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, anything. Could he use war? He can, but that's not necessarily going to let the nations know that he is Jehovah. They're going to say, oh, we're all so stupid, we started wars with each other, what idiots we are. See, that doesn't exactly lend itself, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't lend itself. If fire comes down from heaven like with Sodom and Gomorrah, they're going to know that Jehovah did it. And that might happen right around the time Yeshua appears in the sky. Zechariah 12, the whole chapter is one day, even into 13. Says the birth pangs, wars, and rumors of wars. Well, we got some wars for sure. And America's going to get hit with war, and Iran's going to get hit with a war, and Gaza got hit by war, Lebanon's going to get hit by war, probably, and Ukraine's being hit by war, and there'll probably be some more. But the big wipeout, I think, is going to come from Jehovah. And the people are not all going to get killed. They're going to go into captivity, because Scripture says that. They put the Israelites into captivity, which ended awfully for the Israelites in, I think, every instance. Persecution, beating, robbery, ripped off, scammed, fraud, you know. It'll happen to them.
And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the heathen such as they have never heard. If it's war, they heard about that. So that to me is Jeremiah 30 verse 11. I think it's rather inescapable. And of course the church world is super ill prepared for this, right? Let's take a look at Isaiah 56:3. Isaiah 56:3. Neither let the son of the stranger that hath joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, Jehovah hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, Behold, I am a dry tree. For thus saith Jehovah unto the eunuch that keep my Sabbath. That's the same part of the law, that the church said is done away with. They wipe their feet on the Sabbath, and to even take it further, they changed it to Sunday, without permission from Jehovah, of course, and chose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even if they take hold of the covenant is the BRICS. It's law. Choose the things that are pleasant unto me. The Lord tells you that. Even unto them will I give in my house and in my walls a place and a name better than sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of Jehovah, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain. That's in Israel, Jerusalem, Mount Sinai. No, Mount Zion, not Sinai, forgive me. Mount Zion, Zion, or Zion in Hebrew. Bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offering and their sacrifice shall be acceptable unto my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Jehovah, and Adonai Jehovah, which gathereth the outcasts of Israel, saith, Yet will I gather others to him, besides those that are gathered unto him. All you beasts of the field come to devour, yea, all you beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant, they are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Gosh, all my dogs love to slumber. Just kidding, they're real dogs. Yay, this is not talking about real dogs. They are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Come you, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant. Well, that's probably good for those that own liquor stores and distilleries, but that's about it. Okay, I think we covered that. Shouldn't need explanation further. Now we're in Psalm 102:15. Psalm 102:15. So the heathen shall fear the name of Jehovah, and all the kings of the earth thy glory. When Jehovah shall build up Zion. Now, what is this word, build up? Banah. Now, let's see how Strong throws it into English. Obtain. When he could say obtain Zion. That means when Zion is no longer trodden down of the heathen, that kind of thing. He shall appear in his glory. Well, Yeshua appears in the clouds, seated at the right hand of power, because Psalm 110:1 says, the Lord said to my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. When Yeshua appears in the clouds, his enemies are not yet his footstool, so he's still seated at the right hand of Jehovah, so the both of them appear. So he shall appear in his glory. There it is. He will regard the prayer of the destitute and not despise their prayer. This shall be written for the generation to come, and the people which shall be created shall praise the Lord. Now, I should show you, some of you don't know this, some of you do. In Ezekiel 47, the last 3 verses, it describes us after the war's over and we're dividing the land we just picked up amongst the tribes of Israel. So shall you divide. That would mean the second Exodus would be over. They're already here. If we divided the land of Israel, that would be something that Yahweh would do. So when they got over here, there'd be no land for them. No, we don't do that. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you. So they're getting an inheritance, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel, and they shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth there, shall you give him his inheritance, saith the Lord. So the non-Israelites that are believers are going to come in the next great Exodus, which should begin when Yeshua appears in the clouds, and the non-Israelites will be changed along with the Israelites to everlasting life and come on the Exodus, and they'll come to Israel, and they'll be treated as born in the land, as Israelites, and they get an equal share of the land, and they become incorporated into the tribes. And that's necessary because when the millennium comes with New Jerusalem, there is 12 gates in New Jerusalem made of a giant pearl, each one guarded by an angel, and each gate is named after a tribe of Israel. There's no Baptist gate, no Lutheran, Presbyterian, none of that. So how are you going to get into Israel unless you're incorporated into New Jerusalem, unless you get incorporated into the tribes? Thus it says, all Israel shall be saved. You want to listen to the church contrary to the scriptures? That's up to you. Basically I'm putting 2 paths in front of you. One path is to life, glorious and eternal, everlasting with God the Father. And the other is death with Satan, and you could pick your... It's up to you. They're both free. And it's probably easier to be with God than it is with Satan, because Satan is just a psychotic. Okay. Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am Adonai. I will be exalted among the goyim. I will be exalted in the land, or it could be the earth, Haaretz.
Jehovah of hosts is with us.
Elohim Yaakov, God of Jacob,
is our refuge. So, okay.
So it says, be still and know that Ani Elohim, I am God, and will be exalted among the heathens. See, they're going to know He is Jehovah.
Okay.
And worship Him. So it's extremely important that they know He is Jehovah. So a lot of the stuff that goes on in the world isn't necessarily going to be man versus man destruction. Okay? It's got to look like God did it. Now, the temple is going to also look like God gave it to us, because the next temple comes from God, and it's not New Jerusalem. I know the difference, and I'll bring it out quickly in Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace, that's shalom, with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. That's because we'll have everlasting life. And I will place them, that's put them there, and multiply them, and then it says set, but it's the same word as place, and set my sanctuary, which is in Hebrew Mikdash, it's temple, in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle, which is Mishkan, shall also be with them. Yea, I will. So we'll have the tabernacle back, which 2 Maccabees chapter 2 discusses in detail about it was hid. Cave or mountain or something. Okay, and Jeremiah hid it in a cave and sealed it up until the time God shows us mercy. So it would probably be the 2 witnesses or one of them, and some Levites will have to go get the thing back here, I guess. It's in Mount Nebo, where it's just a mountain Moses died on. I think it's Saudi Arabia, but we'll find out. I'm not sure. It's in Jordan or Saudi Arabia, I guess. My tabernacle also shall be with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that that Ani, it does say Ani, yes, that I, Jehovah, do sanctify, and the word for sanctify is kadosh, holy. We would probably say make holy Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. So the heathen are going to know that God made Israel holy, because one reason would be the tabernacle is there with them, with Israel. And the temple is there. So if it was a temple made by human hands with a bunch of rabbis with construction equipment, why would the heathen think God sanctified Israel? They wouldn't. But if it looks like it came down from heaven, then he would. And when you read Ezekiel 43, which depicts, Ezekiel 40 to 48 actually depicts the next temple that the churches don't believe in. So when they see it and it looks like it came down from heaven, then they're going to know that God made holy Israel. That's what it says. So this temple's coming down from heaven, the next one, and it's not New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem in Revelation 21, it says it has no temple, so it can't be. Okay, whoops. Let me get the next verse. First Corinthians 2:9. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him.
But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
For the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God.
And the scripture also says, those that wait upon the Lord shall not be disappointed. And then, I've opened some of this to you, the everlasting life, and, wealth and riches and many things. So you're going to be so happy soon. And I know now it's dragging out, it's hard, we're always waiting year after year after year, we're waiting. It's very hard. You're not alone. But it will come. So, one more reminder, because we don't know what's going to happen in Lebanon, and they're going to try to destroy the country as much as they can, if it goes down the way they want it to, and likely there's something going to happen for sure. So if you're thinking of sending me offerings like at the first of the month or something, it might be a good idea to send it earlier, because you might not be able to send it. I'd rather see the money inside Israel in the banks that have a much better chance of being able to use it than if it's sitting in some payment processor waiting shipment to Israel, which might never happen. Pressure against Israel from many countries will soon get worse, and we don't know what's going to happen, but it doesn't, we don't know. So some of you have done that, and I appreciate that, okay? One of the stresses on the people in Israel now is we don't know what will happen. And America is such an abundantly unreliable, lying ally. It's very difficult to, rely on her. And we know we're going to get delivered. And we also know when Jeremiah 30:11 happens, you could assume all the currencies in the world are going to be worthless. So, do you think it's better to build your treasures in heaven and support a good work, or just sit on them and watch them become worthless and you can use them for starting firewood? And I'm not even sure this new plastic money works well as even, it may not be any good even as firewood, I don't know. It's junk, sheer junk. So I hope you got something out of this. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I try. Some nations, I believe, are going to go down with war. Iran and the daughter of Babylon, America, and maybe some others. But I think some are going to get taken down by God in a way more direct fashion. The drafting of the Orthodox, I'll cover that for you in 5 seconds or something. The Supreme Court ordered the IDF to draft the ultra-Orthodox out of the yeshiva schools, and they gave them a number of 3,000. Which you got to read into it. These guys are going to go to a part of a military training base that's going to be segregated away from the other soldiers, at least their barracks, their dining room. They're not going to tolerate having women instructors. A lot of the IDF, like shooting, rifle, pistol,
artillery, tank operation, driving a tank and all that stuff, is done by women. Women teach shooting to the men in the military here. I would never set a country up that way, but they did. And the ultra-Orthodox won't do that. So they'll need their own separate trainers and things like that. So I could definitely see why they're just asking for 3,000 on the first pull. The ultra-Orthodox have threatened to leave, 1.2 million of them, but I don't know if they intend to go through with that. Netanyahu believes that as a result of this, they're not going to break up the coalition, because any other coalition likely to form would feel the same way towards them participating in the draft. So how they're going to react to it, we don't know, but they're going to have to be getting call-up notices, I'd say, in next 7 days or something like that, pretty quick. There's a chance the Knesset may try to pass a new law and try to override the Supreme Court. I don't know. I don't think so. Netanyahu's trying to drag it out and stall it so they never go in. But it looks like their ticket has been punched and they're going to be going in. So that's that. Okay, so I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife for peace, safety, protection, joy, healing of our bodies. Pray for our finances and our health. And pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos. And I just pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I'll try to keep you updated. Make sure you subscribe so when stuff starts to happen, I'll usually go on all hours of the day and night and do emergency live streams. So if you care about getting the news straight out of Israel without the dilution of the media, subscribe. And please hit the like button, which seems to help with the algorithm. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I really hope you got something out of it. My email address is at the top of the chat. It's in the description box at the last line down. You can ask me questions, and I'll try to answer them, and we'll keep watching and waiting, but time is very short right now. And that's what I got, guys. So thank you. And I am out. Slightly over 2 hours. Not bad.